Buying a house is very stressful. It is very expensive. Yet it is very exciting, and it's one of the best moves you will make when it comes to your wealth building. What it should not be though is it should not be surprising. There are many challenges to buying a house, and in this video I'm going to talk about one more challenge that popped up as of August 17, 2024 when it comes to buyers paying the buyer's agent commissions. So I'm going to give you 5 strategies on how to pay the buyer's agent commission and how to make buying a house easier for you. When it comes to buying a house, there are already challenges where you have to get pre-approved or approved for a loan. You have to collect the down payment. You have to do an inspection and make sure there's nothing disastrous in the house. You have to do the appraisal to make sure that the house values at what you purchased at. And you have to satisfy the terms and conditions of the sellers. That's challenging enough. But as of August 17th, 2024, as you may have heard, the Department of Justice changed the rules and regulations when a buyer buys a home. In the traditional format, the sellers paid the seller's agent and the buyer's agent, but that is no longer valid. Now with the new regulation, when you go buy a house, the buyer has to sign what we call a buyer-broker agreement with the buyer's agent, and also have to sign an agreement on how much the buyer is going to pay the buyer's agent in forms of commission. That has to be stipulated upfront before you even start showing the homes or before you start looking at the homes. But worry not, I'm going to give you 5 strategies where you can not pay any commission at all or minimize how much you pay the buyer's agent and how much the sellers can pay. So stay tuned, I'm going to give you some great ideas. And I totally understand that buying a home is a challenge, but all challenges can be overcome with your knowledge and your skills and help with professionals like your realtors. By the way, I'm Mike Patel from Anaheim Hills, California. I work with First Team Real Estate, and I have helped many buyers come across challenges and solve them by helping them buy the homes. I've been in business 25 years, yet I've never seen such a drastic move, such a drastic change in the real estate industry. This change, this new regulations is a big one. I don't think there's going to be any challenges like that coming up in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So this change where the sellers cannot pay directly or cannot advertise directly to the buyer's agent and stipulates that the buyers pay the buyer's agent commissions is a big one. So let's analyze that and let's find some strategies. Let me recap on how commissions were paid before August 17th. Traditionally, when a buyer buys a house, the seller pays their listing agent or the seller's agent, let's say 6%, and from that 6%, 3% went to the listing agent and 3% went to the buyer's agent. Typically, that's what happened. Of course, commissions are always negotiable, but I'm just giving you an example. So 3% went to the seller's agent and 3% went to the buyer's agent. As of August 17, 2024, with the new regulations from the Department of Justice, that is no longer valid. Now the buyer has to pay the buyer's agent commissions. That's where the challenge is, and that's where I'm going to show you the 5 steps that you can use or 5 strategies you can use to reduce your commission giving to the buyer's agent or not paying anything at all. But before I give you the 5 strategies, I wanted to let you know what value the realtor brings to you. Whether you're working with the seller's agent or whether you're working with the buyer's agent. Realtors have been in business for a long time, and they'll be around for a long time. They know the local markets. Of course, real estate and the trends and the pricing and the strategy is all local. They know what's happening. Are the prices going up? Are the prices going down? As far as development goes, as far as negotiating goes, as far as terms and conditions, when you have inspections and appraisals and repair challenges and credit issues and moving issues where the buyer gets delayed or the sellers get delayed. There's a lot of things happening in the transactions. There's about 15 to 20 people or vendors that a typical realtor talks to close this transaction. So there's a lot going on. So the realtors, despite the fact that they are looked upon as cheesy salespeople, we understand they're looked upon as commission-getting people, looked upon as non-respected salespeople. They do bring value. That's why ever since Abraham Lincoln, the buyers and sellers have been paying realtors and real estate agents commissions for the past 100 years, ever since Abraham Lincoln. And that's still going to go on. But the structure is going to change. So let's look at the 5 strategies The first strategy is to ask the seller to pay for the buyer's agent commission. So let's say you signed a buyer-broker agreement and you agreed to pay them 3%. Of course, this is negotiable. I am using 3% as an example. If you buy a $400,000 house and let's say you were going to put 5% down, which is $20,000, 400 times 5% is $20,000. And let's say you were supposed to pay the 3% commission to the buyer's agent, your buyer's agent. Now you have to come up with an additional $12,000. In other words, now you need $32,000 to purchase a house versus $20,000. So instead of you paying for that extra $12,000, you could ask the seller to pay for the buyer's agent commission. And as far as I'm concerned, this is pretty brand new territory, just started last month. We don't know how it's gonna go, but my prediction is based on talking to a lot of realtors, based on talking to buyers and sellers. The tradition is that even though the buyers agree to pay the buyer's agent commission in the buyer-broker agreement, I would predict that 80% of those commissions will be paid by the sellers. When the buyer's agent writes an offer, they can also include that the seller pays the buyer's agent commission, whether it's 1%, 2%, 3%, or a flat fee. So the first thing is have the seller pay for it. The second strategy is to reduce your down payment. Many cases, people sell their homes or have a big chunk of money coming from tax refunds or inheritance or whatever the reason, they have 10, 20, 30, 40% down payment. Specifically in the case where you have large down payment and let's say you're gonna buy a house, so instead of putting 20% down or 25% down, you could just put 22% down plus the 3% you leave it for commissions, which brings you to 25% total cash needed. So this is another strategy you can use. Of course, this does not work if you are a VA buyer or you are an FHA buyer, where in FHA loans, you only come in at 3.5% down, and most FHA buyers have a challenge to come up with that. So on a $400,000 house, if you have to come up with about 3.5% down, which is approximately $13,000 or so, that's a challenge in itself, and now you have to come up with another $12,000 to pay the commissions. That is an additional challenge if you are an FHA buyer or a first-time buyer, but this strategy will work for those who have a higher down payment. While you're watching this video, and if you come up with some strategies that I don't talk about, if you know of some other strategies, please share with us. Also, let me know what you feel about the new commissions where the buyers has to pay the buyer's agent. Are you for it? Are you against it? Are you not happy with it? Any comments are welcome. Please make comments. We want to learn from your comments and what the viewers are thinking. The third strategy to pay the buyer's agent commission is to add the commission portion onto the sales price. I feel that this will be the most common used strategy and one of the easiest way to do it. Of course, you can only do this, or you're supposed to do this, if the seller does not agree to pay. So what happens is, I'll give you an example. Let's say you're buying a $400,000 house and you had agreed to pay your buyer's agent, I'm going to use 2% commission in this example, which comes out to $8,000. And you really like the house. You like the house, you like the floor plan, you like the location, it's where your family lives and you want to be on that street. So you really want to have the house, but the seller said to the buyer's agent that we're not going to pay the commission. So you end up paying the commission, but you don't have the money to pay the commission to your buyer's agent. So when you buy a $400,000 house, and if you have to pay 2% in this example, which is $8,000, you write an offer for $408,000, ask the seller to pay $8,000 in closing cost, so that when you get closing cost, and let's say you were putting 10% down, which was $40,000, which you have. So now you have $40,000 in closing cost, you got $8,000 in seller credit to the buyer, and you can use that seller credit to pay the buyer's agent commission. So technically, you're not taking it out of your pocket. A word of caution is that at 408, the house may not appraise, or the lender may not allow that depending on the restrictions. And also, instead of paying property taxes on $400,000, now you will be paying $408,000 worth of property taxes, which is usually 1 to 1.5% on average. So your payments do change, but at least you buy a house. So don't let little things stop you from buying a house. This strategy, I feel, is going to be the most common one and most commonly used when the seller disagrees to pay the buyer's agent commission. The fourth strategy you can use to pay the commission is to use a flat fee model. Of course, commissions have mostly been 1%, 2%, 3%. They've always been negotiable. In this case, what you can do, and I feel like this may be a trend as well, is to go on a flat fee. So when they show homes, you pay your brokers or your agents flat fee for the number of homes they show, or flat fee for the amount of days they work for, Or you can say, look, I'll pay you $2,000 for you to negotiate with me, or $5,000 or $10,000, regardless of the commission, which could be cheaper. On an example of $400,000 house, where you have to pay 3% commission, which is $12,000 commission, you could tell your buyer's agent that, hey, you show me a house, I already know what I want, I know the area, will you negotiate and show me homes at a $5,000 flat fee? And they may agree on it, they may not. It all depends, but that's another strategy. The fifth way to find money to pay your buyer's agent commission, again, if the sellers does not pay the buyer's agent, is to use grant programs. There are a lot of grant programs out there. There's a lot of buyer assistance programs out there. There are state programs, county programs, city programs. So let's go back to the example. On a $400,000 house, let's say you are going to pay with an FHA loan of 3.5%. So you need about $12,000 to $15,000 down payment. You have no money to pay the agent's commission. So in this case, if you get a grant from the city or the state or California, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, use that to pay the down payment plus the commission. Or negotiate with your buyer's agent that, hey, I cannot come up with the full 3%. Can I pay you what I have, $6,000, $7,000, using the grant money and the down payment assistance money? So like I mentioned earlier, everything's negotiable, and hopefully you don't have to pay the buyer's agent commission if the seller does not pay. But if you do have to pay, here they are. You can use those. As I mentioned to you earlier, buying a home is very exciting. It'll build wealth. You will have a big net worth after 10, 15, 20 years of owning a home. Don't let paying commission stop you from buying a home. There are enough challenges, and the last thing we want is that you don't buy a house because you cannot come up with a commission to pay your agent. So don't let that happen to you. We want you to be homeowners. Good luck to you. Thanks for watching. Please watch this video that is recommended to you by YouTube. Thanks, and share this video as well.